Hey, moms and dads, don't you just love when your child reminds you about a school project at bedtime the night before it's due? With Skylight Calendar, you can avoid those last minute oops moments. It visually displays your family schedule in one place with different colors for each family member, so you can eliminate those last minute surprises that upset your kids. Skylight Calendar is a Wi-Fi connected digital display that syncs seamlessly with all your calendars and visually showcases your family's schedule on an HD touchscreen. You can manage events, chores, and grocery lists on the go with the free Skylight app. This is a game changer for families like ours. And your happiness is Skylight's happiness. So if in 120 days you are not 100% thrilled, you can return it for a full refund, no questions asked. This is a great Mother's Day gift. And right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/calm. Go to skylightcal.com/calm for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/calm. So your child is being defiant, mouthy, yelling at you or your spouse, taking things out on siblings, or just not listening. And these situations often blow up into full-scale family meltdowns with everybody upset. So how can you de-escalate emotional situations and then discipline in a way that actually works without excusing your child, without letting them get away with things? That is what we're going to discuss on this episode of the Calm Parenting Podcast. So welcome. This is Kirk Martin, founder of Celebrate Calm. You can find us at celebratecalm.com. So there were times when our strong-willed son Casey would take out his frustration on my wife. He'd get upset and yell at her. And this is pretty common with our kids, especially after school. So there are many different responses, but here are two common responses to this. You know what? I do so much for you. I make special meals for you. I run you around everywhere. I work hard to pay for your gymnastics or cheer or soccer camps. And I make your life so easy. And this is how you're going to treat me? It can take many different forms, right? Like, I can't believe you would talk to me like that way after everything I do for you, right? When I was a kid, if I would have done this, I would have gotten all those different things. Speak of a lot of resentment for some of you, and this can be a husband or a wife, okay? So don't get hung up on the gender here and how I'm doing this, but there can be a lifetime of feeling like you've been taken advantage of. Some of you grew up watching your mom or dad be treated that way by the other parent. And sometimes there are these thoughts that go unsaid, but they're felt deeply. You know what? I'm the only one and the only thing holding this family together. I'm constantly walking around, taking the temperature of the home, walking on eggshells around you, and in this case, I'll make it around you and your father, trying to protect you while placating your father's emotions, never sure when either of you is going to blow up. I'm exhausted, and I don't deserve to be treated this way. And again, that could be a mom saying that. It could be a dad saying that. And some of you feel that very deeply, and I'm going to address that in an upcoming podcast. In a sense, though, what the parent in this situation is communicating is this: I need you, child, to behave to prevent me from feeling resentful about all that I've done for you. See, it's a very needy and unhealthy place to be. Now, my response was to come in upset and just start barking. How many times have I told you you can't talk to your mother like this? What do I have to do to get through to you? And see, those kind of questions just always put kids on the defensive, and they merely communicate you're an idiot and a failure. They just aren't helpful. I would also begin laying into Casey for all of his other shortcomings, partly because that's what my dad modeled for me. And I know a lot of parents don't feel like they're being a parent unless they're constantly correcting or disciplining their kids. But it just doesn't work with these kids, right? And I come in, you don't turn your homework in, you don't try your hardest, you don't ever clean your bathroom. Why don't you ever listen to me? How are you ever going to be successful in life? And the truth is, I was resentful toward Casey when he was young because he seemingly made everything so difficult. Now, the real issue is that I was immature and he forced me to come face to face with my own demons. I finally had to deal with the fact that I couldn't control myself, and it was my own control issues. It was my own anxiety projecting into the future and thinking, well, if he doesn't be successful, then I will be a failure as a parent. I need to buckle down on him. But that's all I ever did. And so I would begin to escalate these situations because when I came in barking at him and yelling, well, it naturally creates a defensive response. And when you have a strong-willed kid, they're fight or flight kids, and oftentimes they will just fight you more. And so I would de-escalate. Why? Because that's pretty much the only thing I knew how to do. Keep it up, keep it up. You can hear that, right? Keep it up, young man. That snotty little tone will produce anger and defiance. Keep it up, young man. You know what? One more word. And one time when he was really frustrated, Casey sneered at me, word, and then ran upstairs to his room. And I lost it. This was before I changed. And this was kind of in the middle of me kind of coming to terms with the fact that I am a grown man in the house and I can't even control myself, yet I'm yelling at this child to control himself. Sometimes I do kind of typical guy thing. Sometimes I pick on guys because I'm a guy. And we do these things, right? We come up with the consequences that you can never keep. You know what? You're going to lose all your video games and food for the next month. We just blurt things out because we're not in control. But sometimes I do this one. You know what? You've already lost your screens for 1 week. You want to make it 2? And the strong-willed child is going to call your bluff and just said, you know what, let's just make it 4. Because they know that you and I sometimes rely on screens to keep them content and quiet. Just saying. So Casey would end up running upstairs to his room, and then he would do what? Slam his door. Why? Because he knew that that was a trigger of mine. You don't have to respect me, young man, but you will respect my door. I worked hard to pay for that door. So then I'd walk downstairs and I would feel justified because my son had just acted worse than I had. I think in a subtle way, that's why I would escalate things so that he would eventually respond in such a defiant, disrespectful way to his father that I could justify my own behavior. We'd actually end the podcast right there and do a little bit of soul searching there and internal work to see if that's what's really happening inside of us. Again, I don't do blame and guilt. I just want honesty and then to say, okay, I'm doing that. I need to course correct and I need to change. And so I'd walk downstairs feeling justified. Although I was 35 then, I was a grown adult and he was a kid. And I was thinking, yeah, I just stood up for my wife. And you know what she was thinking? No, you didn't. You just ruined the entire night because now I have to spend 2 hours up in his bedroom calming our son down, explaining that his father doesn't hate him. He just has some unresolved issues from childhood. I'm kind of kidding there, but not really. Look, you and I have all been here before. And what I realized later is this. What I was really saying to my son in these situations was, you know, Casey, I need you to behave because if you don't do exactly what I say, I'm not sure I can behave and you do not want to see me angry. Let me repeat that again. I need you, son or daughter, to behave because if you don't behave, I'm not sure I can behave and you do not want to see me angry. And I want that to sink in for a moment. I needed my son to behave so I wouldn't lose it. Sometimes you need your child to behave so you don't yell or lecture or feel like a bad parent. Again, no blame or no guilt, but we have to do this differently. So, how do we do it differently? Let's rewind and replay this scene. A few principles first. You always de-escalate before you discipline. There is no good discipline that happens when everybody's upset. One way to de-escalate is this phrase, motion changes emotion. I like using movement to calm kids down and to actually calm myself down, because we're moving the child from the physical and emotional space he or she was in. That's why going toe to toe with an upset child, look at me when I'm talking to you. Look at me. We're going to talk about that. You need to work on your attitude right now. It just never works in the moment. No eye contact when kids are upset, because it tends to reinforce the shame and it escalates. I always use even, matter of fact tone with these kids. You must master the even, matter of fact tone when you have a strong willed child. I like to give kids something they're in control of, because usually what causes meltdowns are what? Being out of control of things, and giving kids space to process and calm down. So here are a few options. There are hundreds of them, but I would control myself first. Then I'd walk into the kitchen, kind of passing through. Hey, Casey, I'm going outside, and I'd be twirling a football in my hands, because I like nonverbals. You don't want to talk a lot when kids are upset. So I'm kind of twirling the football. Hey, Casey, I'm going outside. When you're ready, if you want to come outside and play catch, I'll help you with whatever you're struggling with. And we'll go through this. But see, I'm walking into the room, and I'm not coming in all hot and heavy, like, you better stop yelling at your mother. I can't believe that you would do this. I'm just recognizing something's going on with my son. I want to help him with that, and there's an invitation. Hey, I'm a little hungry, so I was going to run up and get a smoothie, grab a couple tacos if you want to meet me in the car in 5. Again, an invitation, not immediately addressing the misbehavior. So let's say, though, in this situation, you're busy cooking dinner and you can't go outside or sit and play, and you've got 3, 4, 5 kids. What you can do is give your child something they feel in control of, kind of a tangible mission to accomplish. Oh, you know what? If I were you, I'd be really frustrated too. Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you grab the spaghetti sauce from the pantry? Do you think you could twist the top off for me? See, I'm giving them something to do. I'm not saying you need to calm down right now. Here's another one. This is one of my favorites. This little phrase. Oh, I just remembered. Now, I had to make something up after that, because in the moment, you don't always know what you're going to say. So I'd say, oh, I just remembered. And that would give me like 2 seconds to think of something. By the way, I would encourage you, have some pre-planned missions. It's like a go-to fire drill. We talk about this in our programs all the time. Have a pre-planned fire drill for when you have emotional fires in your home. Oh, I just remembered. Hey, Dad didn't finish his work in the backyard. He was wondering if you could move 3 bags of mulch or topsoil over to the big tree. Sometimes physical work is really helpful for working off frustration. Climbing things. Many of your kids are very tactile and sensory, so climbing a tree in the backyard. I know parents who have put little kind of a climbing wall outside on the side of their house so the kids can go and climb. That physical work, really helpful. Hey, and here's one. Hey, I'm going to dump some Legos on the floor in the living room. I did this with Casey all the time when he was little. Hey, when you're ready, come in and we'll build that spaceship together. So here's why I like this. I am not disciplining right away, because that would just escalate things. I'm inviting my child to be with me. See, oftentimes we, go to your room, young man, young lady. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But eventually what I want to get to is a place where I can control myself. So I want to draw our kids to be with us when they're struggling the most, because what we're often doing is saying, I can't handle you right now. Understandably, I get that. And so when you're your worst and need me most, I'm going to send you away from me. I don't want that. See, when I invited him to be with me, now we're together, both of us calming down by doing an activity, playing catch, building, coloring. We're not staring at each other. We play catch, we go for a ride, we build, all those things. And what I'm communicating now is this. When your world is out of control, mine's not. I can handle you when you're at your worst. I am the one person you can count on when you need me most, when you're struggling most. I am no drama when your life is nothing but drama. Let's practice that this week. And then next, we can get to how to discipline. So let's geek out together for a minute over gut health because I'm really into this. I just learned that prebiotics are the food that help fuel the growth of healthy bacteria, the probiotics, in your gut. So you have to have both. And that's why AG1 helps my digestion, calms my stomach, and keeps me regular. Look, I've loved my morning AG1 routine for years, long before AG1 became a wonderful partner to the podcast. It's a quick, easy win because I start my day with 75 vitamins, probiotics, prebiotics, and whole food sourced ingredients. I just don't have that stomach distress anymore, where that bloating, that kind of interferes with your day and puts you on edge. Plus, my weight is down. I've got energy for this hiking season. I'm drinking my AG1 right now while I'm recording this, and I think you should as well. AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3 and K2, which I love, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So check out drinkag1.com/calm to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/calm to be kind to your gut. When we moved to our home, we were quoted a cost of over $20,000 for some trees and shrubs, but we just saved 90% with fast-growing trees, and they helped us get the exact privacy and flowering trees and shrubs for our specific climate, and it's delivered right to our door in days. Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the US with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers, including us. They take the hassle out of creating your dream yard. Their Alive and Thrive guarantees ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy. Plus, get support from trained plant experts on call to help you choose and care for the right plants. This spring, Fast Growing Trees has the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants. Plus, listeners to our show get an additional 15% off their first purchase when using the code CALM at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code CALM. fastgrowingtrees.com/calm. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. See, once we are both regulated now, I can say the following and begin to discipline. Discipline means to teach because we're now in a calm, non-defensive, non-heightened state. Hey, Case, I heard what was going on in the kitchen. Look, I know that yelling at your mom, fill in the blank, hitting your sister, stealing, lying. I know that's wrong. See, I really like that statement. It's a lot more helpful than, what were you thinking? How many times do I have to tell you? That just creates that defensive response, and there's no answer for those questions. I guess I was thinking that I want to lose all my stuff and have you guys be mad at me again. See, I know that was wrong. See, your kids do know what they are doing is wrong from a young age. That's why they lie, because they don't want to suffer the consequences for doing something they knew was wrong. Usually lying is not an integrity issue. It's an impulse control issue and a tools issue. And if you struggle with that, find this podcast that I did. It was called Stealing, Lying, and Spanking. It was from September 24th, 2023. It's really helpful. So look, I know that that's wrong. I also know that yelling at your mom will bring dire consequences. So I know that's wrong. I know that yelling at your mom, hitting your sister, stealing, lying, brings dire consequences. See, that's just a factual statement. There's nothing snotty about this. There's nothing lecturing. I'm just making statements of fact. You know what's wrong, and it brings dire consequences. So I'm curious, and I love the I'm curious phrase. Since you know that would bring dire consequences, and you did it anyway, what was going on underneath the surface that would cause you to compel you to do something that hurts you? Now, that's a little wordy because I'm trying to explain this, but a couple points. Our typical discipline approaches create a me against you dynamic with the child. They come from frustration. Look, I'm frustrated at your behavior, and you need to answer me now. But I'm curious says, look, I'm coming alongside you to help you so you don't keep making choices that hurt you. See, most of these behaviors, they don't hurt us as parents. If my child yells at me, I'm not going to like wilt like a flower. I can't believe that my child yelled at me. It's not going to ruin my day. He's a kid. So instead of taking it personally, part of what being calm is not being Gandhi, right? Nothing bothers me. No, it frustrates me. It irritates me. When he was yelling at my wife, I was furious at him. But I have to step out of that and say, this isn't all about me. I'm the grown up. I'm here to teach so it doesn't keep happening. And so what it helped me to do was go to this even matter of fact tone and say, look, I can see what's going on here. And I'm curious and I'm coming alongside to help you right now because I want to teach you a different way so you don't keep making choices that negatively affect your life. And my goal is to get to the root of the issue so I can help you on many different levels because I don't want you going through life just frustrated and actually being controlled by frustration and disappointment, things not going your way. And when I finally learned how to do this, to normalize things and come alongside, I could say, hey, Case, look, what you're doing is hurting you right now. I'm just curious what's up. What happened at school today that would cause you or compel you to come home and yell at mom, to yell at me, to take things out on your siblings, to lie, to steal? And if we had this talk while we were playing catch, riding in the car, eating tacos, building with Legos, coloring, creating something, organizing his hockey equipment, or maybe we were taping his hockey sticks, he would usually open up and acknowledge what was going on. Dad, I'm really frustrated with school. I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm just not that smart. I walk in the door and mom talks to me, asks me right away about homework. Or your kids might say, you know what, I'm mad at Ryan because I liked Kaylee first, but he's been texting her. Or it might be something completely insignificant to you, but important to them. That happens all the time with strong-willed kids. Younger kids are most likely going to respond, I don't know. So you can prompt them a bit. Hey, are you anxious about that new class we signed up for? Are you frustrated with your schoolwork? And this is where I could normalize things. And you can do this even if you don't get to the root of it. Okay, I get that. It's frustrating when that happens. So you walk in the door after school and you take your frustration out on mom, or it could be you come home and dump your frustration. Moms, you could say, hey, you come home, and I get it. You dump all your frustration out on me. Now, that's not going to work going forward. So what can we begin doing differently after school? What kind of new routine? I like traditions. Traditions tell you what to do. What kind of new after school tradition can we have so you can get your frustration out without hurting our relationship, without hurting your other relationships, without losing all your stuff? Because now we're doing two things. One, you are helping your child identify their triggers. And as an aside, I just added this. It's a really cool discipline tool. I've got a new discipline program that's coming out, and it should be released for those who have the Get Everything package. It'll just automatically come to your app within the next couple of weeks. I'm taking my time on this because I'm going through literally every single discipline issue I've been asked over the last 20 years, and I'm answering it in detail in this new updated program. It is a game changer, this new idea, because here's what it's about. Instead of merely focusing on your child's outward behaviors, you begin to help your kids identify their inner triggers that cause them to misbehave. And isn't that what we're all doing as moms and dads, as grown-ups? We're just learning about all the triggers we have so that we can deal with those and be free from being triggered and upset all the time. And so your focus switches from just getting them to stop that behavior to let me give you tools and show you how to deal with your triggers that irritate, frustrate, and annoy you. See, that's powerful. That is more important than anything that they are ever going to learn in school. And you get to teach them that partially while you're working on your own triggers. It's a family thing you're doing. Okay, number 2, you are problem solving. hey, you have this issue, and I'm the trusted resource who can help you come up with creative ways to handle your anxiety, frustration, anger, disappointment. In this particular instance, we actually physically role played because it's a fantastic look. We don't do punishment, but if you kind of quote wanted to punish your child, make them role play with you because it's highly effective, but they're not going to love it at first. But we physically role played coming into the house a different way. And as a family, we came up with a new afternoon routine or tradition, which didn't involve immediately asking about school when Casey walked through the door. Look, if your kids don't like school, don't ask how their day was right away. Hey, how was your day at that place where you're on read on the behavior chart and sit alone at the cafeteria and are bored all day, right? Like, don't ask that. Instead, with younger kids, I always do a treasure hunt. Hey, I hit a snack, hit a toy in the backyard, bet you can't find it. Now they have to use their problem-solving skills. They get fresh air. They get some movement. It's really good. For older kids, I ask them about something they are interested in instead of, quote, interrogating them about school. Because you can say, like, hey, do you have any homework tonight? Nope, got it done in study hall, and your child just lied to you. So instead of that, you can ask them their opinion about something that happened to you that day or some political or social issue. Finally, Casey apologized to his mom. Why? Because he knew what he did was wrong. He knew apologizing was the right thing to do. But watch, instead of demanding an apology, you need to apologize to your mother right now. By de-escalating the situation, we led him to a place of contrition. So look, you don't have to let your kids get away with things or make excuses for them. But rather than just giving them yet another consequence and sending them to their room, you teach, you help them identify their triggers, you problem solve a different way to handle all of these different emotions that happen in life. So your homework this week, de-escalate before you discipline. Remember, motion changes emotion. It's better to do this without giving eye contact. Practice and master that even matter-of-fact tone with strong-willed kids. It's critical. Give your kids something they are in control of when they feel out of control, and give some space to process the emotions and calm down. And once that happens, now you can be curious and you can problem solve when you discipline. The goal is to teach. So look, if you're stuck in this endless cycle, consequence, I'm going to give you a consequence. If you do this, this is what happens. If you're stuck in that, I want to get out of that whole mode. It doesn't work. Look, if that were going to work, it would have worked last year or 10 years ago when you started doing that with these kids. If you want help with that, just look up the special sale we have going on now at celebratecalm.com, because I'll show you exactly how to do it step by step, and especially that new discipline program. It's going to be fantastic. So thank you for listening to the podcast. Thanks for sharing the podcast. Thank you for working so hard at this as a parent. We respect you for that. Let us know how we can help you. Love you all. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.